Wax friends, I'm Amber. If you're new, welcome. Welcome back if you're returning. Today's video is my July reading wrap up. So all of the books that I read in July, which is 9 books for the month. And then the wax, the home fragrance that I paired with the books that I read with my eyeballs. So it doesn't work with the audiobooks because I'm randomly going all different places while I'm reading through audio. So it doesn't work with that. But with the ones that I read with my eyeballs, I do have wax that I've paired with them. So first off, let's take a look at my official TBR for January, because I do like to have an official list, which I pick each month through the TBR jar. So as you can see from the list, I read only 3 from my official list. So not the best, but it is what it is. The one that was all systems red, as you can see, that was a DNF, but I still counted it because I did give it a try. I ended up, I'm just not a sci-fi reader, number one. And then in the first few chapters, just a lot of really harsh language already. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not digging it. And why am I reading it? So I gave it a try, and I'm counting it because it was part of my annual TBR as well, because I do want to try and branch out a little, and not just fantasy and that sort of thing. But it is what it is. So that one was a DNF. Then also I had a soft DNF from the list, and it is a Summer of Dandelions. Such a cute cover. I do love the cover so much on this one. It's so adorable. But I started reading it, and I don't know if it's the mood that I was in or what, but I just didn't like the main character's voice and his first person. And I was like, I'm not really digging the story. So as I said, it's a soft DNF. So maybe next summer I will try it again and see if it is something I like better. But for now, yeah, so that one is one that I ended up putting down. Okay, so let's move on to the books that I actually did read. Okay, the first book I read for the month was Royally Rearranged. This is by Emma St. Clair, and it's the first book in her Sweet Royal Rom-Com series. I don't know if it's like a collaboration with other authors, because I know that she does that as well, where there are other authors that write books in the same series, or if this is all books by her in this series or not, but I know this one obviously is by her. So Royally Rearranged is about a princess named Seraphina, and she has known since she was little that she was betrothed to a prince from another kingdom, another small European country, and she also is a princess in another small European country. And she's known that she's been betrothed to her best friend Callum since they've been young. And so she comes back from school, from the university, and thinking that they are going to officially announce their engagement. And come to find out, he shows up with an American girlfriend. And also come to find out, he didn't know about the betrothal until a year before, when she wrote a letter about it to him. Now, she has been in love with him all this time, so it wasn't just duty for her. And so that's where the story starts. Then she finds out that she still needs to marry someone, or the kingdom falls into there won't be like a king or queen or anything anymore according to their laws. And so she has this small amount of time to try and win the hand of Callum back, or win it at all, because he refuses to think of her in that way at the beginning of the story. And so another man who was kind of a rival to Callum, and is one that Seraphina's known since she was little as well, named Rafe, ends up saying that he will help her to win Callum back. And so they kind of fake date, and then becomes possibly fake engaged type of thing. And the story goes from there. I thought this was a very fun book. I wasn't a complete fan of Seraphina at the beginning. She was a little, well, she was sheltered, so I guess it kind of makes sense that she was this way, but just the fact that she was so, like, thinking Callum hung the moon type of thing, and not thinking there could be anyone else for her, kind of got a little on my nerves. But then she did start to see the light with different things, and came to know herself a little better, and being able to be a little bit braver and not just bowing down to what her parents and what's expected of her type of thing, and realizing what she wants herself. And the main male love interest, I did really enjoy. I felt like this was a kind of an insta love. It was and it wasn't. It was insta love, I feel like, on Seraphina's end, possibly. I don't want to say too much and give anything away. So in her regards, it was a little bit of an insta love, but I understand because there was kind of like a time crunch in regards to needing to get married to save her kingdom, pretty much. So in that way, it was understandable. But there was a lot of good humor in this. The banter was really good. And yeah, I thought it was good. I ended up, what did I even end up giving it? I didn't let you know at the beginning. Yeah, 4 stars. I gave it a 4-star. That's right. I gave it a 4-star. Didn't give me 5-star feelings. But I thought it was a fun read, and perfect for the summer because it's about a wedding and that sort of thing. So wedding season for sure during the summer. As far as content goes, only kisses, and then a couple mild bad words, and that was pretty much all there was. So it was a fun book, and I would recommend it. I do enjoy it. This is the second book I've read by Emma St. Clair, and I would recommend her as author if you're looking for a more clean romance, romantic comedy type of stories. I think she's a great author. So that was Royally Rearranged. And then the second book I read, and I'm so proud of myself, was Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. This is on my annual TBR, and so I'm able to cross off another book from my annual TBR. So this is by Mark Twain. It's a classic. You should know it's by, I would think. And then I ended up rating it a 3.5 stars. So for the most of the book, I liked it. It was a 3-star, but then the last third of the story, I was dying laughing so hard. I loved the last third of the book. And so that evened it out to about a 3.5 stars. So this is a story. It's a continuation. Technically, it's a second book, but you don't absolutely need to read Adventures of Tom Sawyer. But this is technically the second book. So Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, you're following Huck Finn as he gets into some different adventures. He ends up running away from his father, who's abusive, and he's been kind of kept in the dark about things, like ignorant to things. He, at the end of of Tom Sawyer, he's kind of adopted by I can't even remember what her name is. I know it's at the beginning of this too, but a widow. So he's kind of adopted and by her, and he starts to learn at school and become a little more educated with things. But then his father ends up finding him and taking him back. And so Huck ends up escaping from his father and decides to go down river and to try and get away from him. And he ends up coming across Jim, who is an escaped slave, who was a slave in the household that he had been adopted into. And so it's about their adventures together, and as they're trying to get to a free state, so Jim can be free since he's run away from his household. And they come across a lot of characters. Some are pretty interesting. Like I said, the hijinks that they get into. A old favorite character ends up showing up in the last third, as I said, and things go a little crazy from there. Like I said, I really enjoyed the last third. This other character that shows up, he is a handful and has a very big imagination, and so just to see the things that develop from that, it's a lot of fun. So like I said, I had 3.5 stars. Content wise though, just be aware there is a lot of N-words in this. This was written in 1885. Not excusing it, but that was the lingo back then. During slavery times, the slaves would call each other the N-word, and those that were owners and people around them, especially the less educated people, would use that word to describe. So it wasn't, for them at that time, it wasn't a derogatory term necessarily. It was just something that was used in everyday language, especially for those that are uneducated, like Huckleberry Finn is. So if that's something that's going to bother you, I just want you aware that it's throughout the story. But I thought it was a lot of fun. It was good. I may make me decide to pick up more books by Mark Twain. I might go back and read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, just because of that, because I did enjoy this. So 3.5 stars. That is Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Alrighty, next two books that I finished this month, or, in July, because by the time you see this, it will be August, is Brighter Than Before by Courtney Walsh. And this was for the prompt, a cover that matches the current season. And my rating for this, 5 stars. So yay, 5 stars. I would love this one so much. So this is about a woman named Claire who at the beginning of the book finds out that her husband isn't who he says he was, and they get divorced, and she is now trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. And so it's about her healing and moving on. She ends up moving to Chicago, which she's always wanted to live. It was the place she's always wanted to live in. And it's about her discovering herself, gaining confidence in herself, discovering love again, possibly. And I loved it. It was wonderful, just as I knew it probably would be, because Courtney Walsh tends to be one that I give between 4 and 5 stars to out of everything that I've read by her. So this was wonderful. It's wonderful to have a main character who is older. So she's in her 40s, from what I remember. And then I enjoyed her as a character. I enjoyed going through the journey with her as she's learning exactly what she wants to do with her life. And she has a really good supporting cast around her. Her daughter is an adult daughter living in England and going to school, but she is with her through text and a lot. She supports her quite a bit. And then she comes to find other people that are very supportive of her around her when she moves to Chicago. And so there may, like I said, or may not be a love interest in this. And her daughter decides that she wants to set her up on dates. She signs her up for this dating app and is trying to get her back out there to date people. And her daughter, Minnie, ends up being in cahoots with Claire's neighbor, Miles. And Miles and Claire form a really good friendship with each other. So I loved it. It was wonderful. Courtney Walsh is the epitome of funny, heartfelt banter, feel-good, emotional stories all mixed into one. And this one didn't disappoint at all. So content, there was no open door scenes, just kisses and no language. So yeah, it was great. So that is Brighter Than Before, 5 stars. Then next up, I finished Heir of Storms. This is by Lauren Hamilton Murray, and it was for the Prompt a Book with Magic. And this is one that I ended up giving 4 stars. So it was a fun book. It was a fun fantasy. This is a YA fantasy. And it's about a girl named Blaze. She and her twin brothers live in this world where there is like elemental magic on their in their country. Different elemental magic wielders live in different parts of the country, and she comes from a family of fire wielders. Well, when she is born, come to find out, she is not a fire wielder, even though she comes from a long line of fire wielders, and she ends up being what is called an aquatori, but specifically what is called a rain dancer, which hasn't been around in a long time. When she's born, she ends up creating this storm, and at the time that it happens, people don't know at first what is going on until her mother does figure it out, however long. I can't remember how long the storm was lasting, but enough to where it devastated. It was like, think hurricane, major storm, flooding, people were dying type of storm. And once her mother does figure it out and takes her out into the storm, and she stops the storm as a baby, there has been a lot of devastation. And so this stigma follows Blaze around from that point in her life once people figure out what happened. And so she's locked away kind of for her own protection. And her mother dies when she's young. And so she has to deal with that. Her and her family have to deal with that. She's raised by her grandmother, and she's kind of isolated from everyone else, but not in an evil way. Her grandmother thinks that she's trying to protect her because so many people want to kill her because they've lost a lot of loved ones because of the storm that she created when she was just a tiny baby. And so that's where the story starts. What ends up happening is in this land, they choose rulers differently. So there is a head ruler in the center of this country, and they are, I can't even remember what they are. The Golden Palace. So they are chosen by this one. It's all by this one family, and it's passed down from from father to son on through the generations. But then the other rulers, the council around the king, are chosen every eclipse. So when there's an eclipse that happens, they know it's time to choose new rulers for every other country. And for the next in line for the head Golden Kingdom place. Again, what did I say it was called? I don't even remember. The Golden Palace. For them, that means it's time for the father to step down and then the son to take over for him. And the other kingdoms, they are chosen by competition. So the gods in their land, they all have marks. And so the gods, if they're one of the ones chosen for this competition to find out who is the most worthy to be another ruler in their kingdom, their mark will light up. And so it's 4 to every kingdom. And then they have to go to the Golden Palace, and they are chosen through this competition. So it was fun. I did really enjoy it. I thought some of the magic systems were interesting. I thought it was unique how they chose the new rulers. That was definitely something that I haven't seen in any other books before, in the fact that it's kind of out with the old, in with the new type of thing that the gods of their land wanted done. Blaze, I really enjoyed her as a character. You saw a lot of growth from her because she started out really being this timid, shy person because of who she is and whatever the stigma surrounding her. And she comes to her confidence throughout the story. And I liked her relationship with her brothers. She has 2 brothers, one that's her twin and then one that's a lot younger. And she really shows kindness and love towards them. I really liked their relationship. There was a lot of twists in this one. Some I saw coming, but there were actually a few twists that actually really surprised me. And so I was happy about that, because it is hard for me to be surprised in books a lot of the time. So I really enjoyed those twists that really took me aback. The romance in there is a romance love triangle, but it's not what you think. So that's all I'll say. So I did enjoy it, and I possibly will continue on. Like I said, 4 stars. Usually 4-star and above, I'll continue reading the series, but it's still not necessarily a priority for me. Content-wise, there is language. There's mild to moderate bad words, but they're not frequent in the book. And then as far as open door scenes, there's nothing. There's a couple kisses, but that's it. So that is Heir of Storms. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And this copy makes me happy. So anyway, that's it, you guys. Next up is an Overdue Match. This is by Sarah Monzon, and this is a Christian contemporary romance, and it was very cute. I ended up giving it a 4-star, and it is about a girl named Evangeline Kelly. She is a librarian. She moved to this small town called Little Creek when she wanted a fresh start, because she ended up developing alopecia, and her ex-fiance ended up calling off the wedding because he was repulsed by her. How terrible is that? That is so awful. And so she was tired of all the pity from everybody in her town of Chattanooga, I think it was, and decides to move to a new town where people don't know her, and she's a librarian there. And it is also about a guy named Ty Kelly. He is a tattoo artist. He is from the town of Little Creek. He moved back to the town, and he has a lot of history to where people do judge him by his cover. And so because Evangeline feels like she's not ever going to find her own forever love, she decides to use her library information about people's books to try and play matchmaker and match different patrons up with each other. Well, Ty finds out what's going on, and he knows that Evangeline judges him on his appearance. And so he is intrigued by her, though, and wants to get to know her better, and decides to make a bargain with her because he knows people in this small town. And so if she'll agree to go on a date with him, he'll help her with her matchmaking scheme because he knows everybody. And so that's where it starts. So as I said, 4-star, very sweet. I did like the faith content in it, and I enjoyed the development of the characters. I really felt for Evangeline and the fact that she felt like she wasn't worthy of love because of her condition. She felt she wasn't heroine material. And it's about her dealing with her trauma and coming to love herself and find herself beautiful no matter what she looks like. And I enjoyed Ty's character, and I liked that you saw more to him than what is on the surface. So definitely this book is about not judging people by the way they look, and to realize that we are all children of God and are of worth, and that we should treat each other with kindness and see each other as God sees us. So it was sweet. I did really enjoy it, and I would definitely consider reading the next book. I have planned to read it because it is a fall-centered book. It's called Hearts in Circulation, I think, and it's about, I'm pretty sure it's about Ty's cousin in that one. So, but they're interconnected standalones from what I know about them. And so, yeah, I enjoyed this one, 4 stars. The next book I read in July was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This was on my 5-star predictions for the 3rd quarter. And drum roll, please. I gave it a 5-star. And not just because it was a prediction. I actually really loved this book. And I'm so glad I gave it another try, because I tried to read it last year, and I just kind of lost my time for it, or because it is a library book and I ran out of time. So I'm glad I gave it another shot, and I loved it. I love it more than, I mean, I haven't read the second book yet, but the Divine Rivals book, which I did really enjoy, I liked this one better. So this is very like Scottish folklore coded to me. It's about a guy named Jack Tamerlane. He comes from this island called Cadence, where there are like elemental spirits and magic and that sort of thing. And there on the island is split in half between the west and the east. There has been a long-standing feud because of something that happened in the way past of the island. And so the clans from the east and the west, the Tamerlanes and the Breckons is the ones from the west. They've been in a feud for years and years and years. So Jack, when he's a child, about I think 11, he's sent away to the mainland where there isn't magic, but he's sent to the mainland to go to school to become a bard. And he's called back to the island now that he's an adult to help because girls have gone missing. And he's not happy about being back on the island because he felt like he was treated badly by a lot of people because his mother is a single mother and no one knows who his father is. And so he always felt that burden on himself, especially because his mother would never tell him who his father was. And so he always felt like he had this stigma on himself and was a little bit of a grumpy Gus about it all. And I understand, feeling that way, especially as a child. So he didn't want to come back to the island, but he's called by his laird to come back to try and help find out what's happening to these girls in their clan that are disappearing. They think that it's the spirits, the elemental spirits on the island are taking them for some reason. And he, as a bard, they think can help because he can play for the spirits, the different elements, and hopefully get the answers that they need to have their daughters returned. So that's the premise of the story. It follows a few different points of view, but it is in third person. But you get Jack's point of view and a few others. And I really enjoyed all the characters' points of view that you got throughout the story. I love the couple of love stories that take place in the story. And some of the twists, actually quite a bit of the twists. One twist I figured out, but another one I was like, or a couple others, I was like, what? Oh my gosh. So it really kept me on my toes. I really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a fantasy book that has that historical type feel to it with, like I said, that Scottish folklore element to it, this is a really good one. Content-wise, there's one instance of a bad word, and it was the B word, and that's it as far as profanity goes. And then as far as open door scenes, I would probably actually consider them like cracked door, and even that is kind of stretching it because there are 3 love scenes, but they're not described at all, and they're at most like a chapter long. Or not a chapter long, that is long, sorry, a paragraph at most, and they're not descriptive. It's not explicit at all, and it takes, the scenes are between husband and wife, so do with that as you will. I wasn't bothered by it, obviously, because I did give this 5-star. I thought it was wonderful, and if I love the second book, which I have requested from my library now, I will for sure be purchasing this duology because it was wonderful. Loved it. So that is A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. Okay, the next book that I read during the month of July was The Lady and the Highwayman by Sarah M. Eden. She is the author of Seeking Persephone and all that Regency series. I have never read a book by her, and so this one was available right away through audio, and I did read it just through audiobook. And it wasn't a very long one, and so I figured, you know what, I'll read this one and see. I know I love the Seeking Persephone movie, and I do eventually want to get to that series, but since this was a little easier of a read, and I was busy doing Happy Mail for customers, that sort of thing, I was like, let's listen to this audiobook. So my rating for this was probably, I would say, a 3.75 stars. I did enjoy it. It is about a lady named Elizabeth Black. She is an author. She writes more upscale type novels for like the Ton. This is during like Victorian age, and she is the head of a school for middle class girls. And at night, she is also under a pseudonym, writes for a lower class set of people, writing a Penny Dreadful under a pseudonym called Mr. King. And that is looked down upon, and so that's why she writes under a pseudonym, because she's worried about funding for her school and all that. So her Penny Dreadful story ends up becoming like one of the most popular ones during the time that she started writing them. And so one of the other Penny Dreadful authors, his name is, what did I say? What is his name? Fletcher Walker. He was like the king of the Penny Dreadfuls. Well, she dethroned him. And since no one knows who she is, that she's Mr. King, no one knows the author of the Penny Dreadfuls. They're on the search to find out who she is, because Fletcher and the other, excuse me, guys, the other Penny Dreadful authors, writers, they have this society, this Penny Dreadful Society, where they help underprivileged people to get out, kids specifically, to get out of the slums and to make a better life for them. And since they have a little less funds, they want to find out who Elizabeth, Mr. King, is. So that's the premise of the story. I did enjoy it. Like I said, 3.75 stars, almost to 4 stars, to where I loved it. I just didn't super connect with the characters. I liked the plot of the story, though. With the mystery, it was almost like a cat and mouse type of game between Fletcher and Elizabeth. And he is one that came from the slums originally and fought his way up and out of that condition and made a name for himself with being an author. And so there's an element where he starts to catch feelings for Elizabeth, but he doesn't feel worthy of her because of his background. And then Elizabeth, at the same time, she starts to have feelings for him too. But because of her situation with her school that she's running and everything, she worries about what's going to happen in regards to the funds for the school, being able to take care of the girls there and all that. So I liked the mystery element of it. And also in between the chapters, you got little excerpts from the books that both of them are writing. So you get The Lady and the Highwayman, which is Elizabeth's book, under the pseudonym. And then you get Fletcher's book. I can't remember what his is called, but it has to do with these two young boys who get caught up in a bunch of paranormal things and have to rescue other kids and stuff like that. So both stories are really kind of mimicking real life for them. So I liked that. That was a neat aspect of the story where you got to see their stories in between the chapters. So yeah, I did enjoy it. The content is clean. Sarah M. Eden writes books without any profanity or open door scenes. So definitely recommend it. I did enjoy it. It's just I didn't connect really well to the characters in this one. So that is The Lady and the Highwayman. All right, the final 2 books that I read for the month of July is, first off, Wish You Weren't Here. This is by Gracie Ruth Mitchell. And this was a rom-com type of book with magical realism, and I gave it a 4.75 stars. So almost reached 5 star, but it didn't give me totally those 5 stars feelings. So this is about a girl named Clementine. She works with her adopted aunt in this antique store in Carousel Cove, Maine. I'm pretty sure it's Maine. And she one night accidentally knocks a teapot off the shelves. And there's this English guy all of a sudden in the shop. Come to find out, he is a genie who has been trapped in the teapot. And it goes from there. So Clementine says that she's going to help Alaric, the genie to become human, but he only has a month to become so. And there's fake dating involved because of a wish that her Aunt Flossie made in regards to her, and a lot of chaos ensues. I thought some of the things in here were laugh out loud funny. I thought there was good like anxiety representation in the story as well. And I love the magical elements to it too. The only reason I didn't get those 5-star vibes is I kind of was bothered by a few things in regards to Alaric and Clementine both. They got on my nerves a little bit in regards to some things. Might not get on your nerves, but kind of got on my nerves, especially in regards to Alaric being a love interest. I was like, I don't see the appeal, at least at first. He did end up, I ended up warming up to him a little bit. So, but didn't give me those 5-star feelings. But I do recommend this. As I said, 4.75, almost a 5-star. This was a fun one. So wish you weren't here. Content-wise, I forgot to say, only kisses, no profanity. So if you care about those things, none of that's in this. Okay, then the final book I read for the month was The Starlit Prince. This is by C.F.E. Black. And this is about a woman named Talia. She is in this family that raises horses for equestrian family, raises them for well-to-do people. Equestrian stuff is a big thing in the area they live. This is a fantasy world, but it is very Spain inspired, I would say. And so Talia, at the beginning of the story, she finds that her and her father's prize horse, who is more than likely going to win the race the next day, gets stolen. And they are in dire straits, and so she runs off to try and capture their horse back. Because if they lose the horse and lose the race, then her father will end up owing a lot to people that had bet money on the horse, and they would end up owing to this landlord that they're under, who wants Talia's hand in marriage, and he's an awful person. So she runs off to recapture the horse back. She ends up running across the guy that ended up selling the horse for the person that stole it, and finds out that he is actually a fae. And the fae are kind of a myth by this point in time in their land. And so she's surprised, first of all. And so she makes a snap judgment because he offers to marry her and makes a bargain with her. And in that bargain, he gives her one of his horses who will win the race for her father. So her father and her family will be taken care of. And so she makes this snap judgment, becomes his bride, and the story goes from there. So she is committed to the marriage, and she tries to make it work. But her husband, what is his name? Raphael, he is very distant, and it's very hard for Talia to get to know him and to try and stay committed to this marriage. And a lot of things happen along the way. You come to find out why he is the way he is. And this is very Beauty and the Beast coded. And I gave it a 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I liked it, but it wasn't anything that I was over the moon about. I enjoyed Talia's character. I did like that she was trying to make her marriage work, even though she didn't really know the fae. she wanted to try and make it work because she made the commitment to him. I think I'm kind of over Beauty and the Beast retellings, is a lot of the reason why. And like I said, this is a lot of Beauty and the Beast type of situation. There were things in it that did surprise me. I thought some of the story took an interesting twist to it, but I think I'm just kind of over it because there's so many retellings, Beauty and the Beast retellings, and it is one of my favorite fairy tales. But when it's like been there, done that a lot of the times, and so for me, I liked it. It wasn't anything fresh and new, and so that's why I feel like it didn't rate higher in my mind. So content, there is no language and kisses only. So I do have to say, I don't know if it's in every book, but in my copy anyway, there is a chapter that's in the wrong spot. It's like in the middle of the book. And as I was reading, I was like, what is happening? And then I was like, this isn't a dream. What in the world is going on in this chapter? And come to find out, it is a chapter from almost as part of the climax of the story, because then then you don't have that. So I figured it out, and then once I got to the part where I was supposed to be, I was like, oh yeah, yep, this is where this was supposed to be. So I don't know if it was my copy or if all of them are accidentally like that, because the chapter number was in the right spot, but the actual chapter was not what it was supposed to be. So I don't know. I was still able to figure out, okay, that wasn't supposed to be there. I'll just ignore it and remember it for when it's supposed to be later. That was another thing that I felt was I felt like the climax was a bit rushed. The whole big bad and everything else in it, the whole fight and whatnot to conclude the story, it was rushed in my opinion. So, but anyway, it was good. I liked it. 3 stars is a good rating. Just not phenomenal in my opinion as far as a story goes. So that is the Starlit Prince by C.F.E. Black. Alrighty, so let's move on to the wax that I did pair with each of the books that I read with my eyeballs, or primarily read with my eyeballs. The first one is Brighter Than Before by Courtney Walsh. For this one, I went with Aria di Milano, and I chose this one because it's such a bright, happy, citrusy type scent. And I thought, this is about a woman, Claire, who's starting over and getting her life together and that sort of thing. It's bright, happy, and so I thought this would be a really good one. It's a really nice scent. So Aria di Milano. Then for the next one is Heir of Storms. This one I went with another Italian summer inspired one and did Terrazza del Sole. And this one I went with because it has a deeper, more grounded type of smell to it. If I'm remembering right, there's like jasmine in it and just other notes. I think there's a citrus in this one too. I can't remember exactly. But this one was really nice, and I felt for the story it worked really well because the main character can control the storms. So I felt that was a good choice. Then for the next one, A River Enchanted, I chose actually a Disney Pixar bar, and it is the Toy Story, what is it called? The Gang's All Here. And this one, it has an aquatic note to it, and it was a new bar to me, and I wanted to melt it. And I was like, this is the perfect time to melt it. This is all about, A River Enchanted. It is, so I was like, you know what? It's kind of a stretch, but I thought it was a a good choice. I just wanted to try it. Okay, and then the next one for Wish You Weren't Here by Gracie Ruth Mitchell. I chose Red, White, and Sparkle. And this one, mainly, it's such a nice, like, mixed berry type of plum scent. And there's a slight effervescence to it. And the name, I was like, this is about a genie, magic type of thing. So Red, White, and Sparkle, that one worked. This is a very good scent though. And then lastly, for the Starlit Prince, I went with Mercato di Napoli, or Napoli. And this is another Italian summer bar. And this one was one that I honestly didn't have any reason for choosing it. I just wanted to choose it. and so I did. So yeah. So that is Mercato di Napoli, another very Italian, summery feeling type of bar. So that is that one. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me, for listening to me ramble about all the books that I've read and the wax that I paired with them. I appreciate all of you guys. Do you have any standout books that you read during the month of July? Right? July. We're in August while I'm recording this, so I had to make sure I'm talking about July. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate all of you guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, if you'd like more book and home fragrance content from me. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.